Well, hello again, and another warm welcome back to Classic Dirt Bike TV and to our continuing coverage of the 2025 Bill Brown Classic Scramble from the Westmoreland County Showground. So in this episode 3, we're going to show you the final block of races from the Saturday's race programme, and thereafter we'll get down to showing you the racing highlights from the Sunday's races. So next up, it's the third and final British Championship race for the over 60s class. So this will be race 13 from the Saturday. So as the riders leave the line and head into turn 1, it looks like it's Keith Best who's got the whole shot, followed by number 21 Ian Knight. Number 44 just going through there is Adrian Lappin on the Cecil Pearson Jap. John Sinnott just making his way up the hill there on his CZ, but it's certainly Keith Best who's got the advantage over number 21 Ian Knight on the 250 Honda Elsinore. Now this bike of Keith Best's is based on a 1967 two-stroke CZ. It's a 250, but of course it's not an original bike because it's got some really nice trick parts bolted onto that bike, and you can see how quick it is and how nicely it handles on this Westmoreland track. But as it comes round to complete lap 1, it's Keith Best who leads Ian Knight, number 21, in second position. Adrian Lappin is currently in third. Ian Stainton just making his way through there, and that man there, number 786, is Ian Verinda on his nice BSA Victor. But as our race leaders begin lap 2, it looks like we've got a good scrap developing here between Keith Best's 250 CZ and Ian Knight's 250 Honda Elsinore. So these two certainly going at it in the early stages of this British Championship race. And again, you can see the weather here at Milnthorpe holding up quite nicely. A bit overcast, but nevertheless bone dry, as you can see the dust beginning to fly. But it looks like number 44 there in third position, that's Adrian Lappin. Looks like he's closing in on Ian Knight's little 250 Honda two-stroke Elsinore. Adrian Lappin, of course, riding one of Cecil Pearson's Jap powered bikes, so that's a big single cylinder 600, chasing after Ian Knight's relatively smaller 250 two-stroke. But there's still no changes at the front here. It's still Keith Best in first position, Ian Knight in second, Adrian Lappin still third. Keith, of course, will be hoping for a much better result in this race because he did have a slight tumble in the previous British Championship race, so he'll be wanting to make up for that error in this last and final race for the over 60s class. But as yet, Keith is going very well at the front there, the man from Uckfield, looking good on that 250 Czechoslovakian CZ. So Keith coming round to complete another racing lap. These are quite long races, these British Championship races. They're a lot longer than the 4 or 5 laps that we have for the classic bikes. But there's a battle for second position between Ian Knight and number 44 Adrian Lappin, who I think's already won a race here this afternoon. So Adrian again going well on that Harry Stitt framed Cecil Pearson Jap. So it looks like Adrian's made that move on Ian Knight for the track position, so that promotes Adrian up to second place. Ian Knight still going well there in third on his 250 LC. Here's the battle for third and fourth. It's number 62. I think that could be Colin Hutton there on the CZ twin porter. Number 125 is Ian Stainton on that lovely Clues Stroker. So here's your race leader, Keith Best. Seems to have a decent lead at the moment over Adrian Lappin, but there's still quite a few laps to go, so there's still time for Adrian to catch up. But at this moment in time, Keith's going very well on the 250 CZ as he comes across the line to complete another lap of this British Championship over 60s class race. Adrian Lappin crossing the line in second position. And of course, if these are the kind of bikes you like to look at here on YouTube, then maybe you'll consider subscribing to my channel, because not only do we post these kind of classic races, we also do in-depth features on old school classic bikes as well. And it's all 100% free. It doesn't cost you an absolute penny. And if you subscribe to my channel, then every time I upload a brand new video, then you'll be notified immediately. So if you're into your old classic scramblers, then you've certainly come to the right channel to watch them. We're looking at number 139 there. That's Craig Holmes on that lovely BSA. As I said earlier, that was a bike that used to belong to CCM racing legend, Scotsman Jimmy Aird. So we're looking at our second placed positioned rider, number 44, Adrian Lappin. And of course, Adrian's riding one of 6 bikes that Cecil Pearson's brought over from Northern Ireland this year. It's quite a task for Cecil to keep all of these bikes running and racing on the track every weekend. It's quite hard work, but it's very rewarding for Cecil when he sees them performing on the racetrack. So that's Adrian Lappin in second position. There's your third place man, number 21, Ian Knight on his lovely 250 Elsinore. With, of course, that big expansion chamber underneath the engine there. It looks like a big python that's trying to eat that 250 LC motor. We're looking at John Sinnott there, number 41. That's another one of those quite nice bikes that we had a look at in our part 1 paddock walkabout. John is riding, of course, that CZ. I think it's based on a 1973 bike, but it's far from original, as of course many of these CZ machines are these days. But nevertheless, John appears to be enjoying himself out there. I think he's currently running in maybe about 5th position, but he's certainly going well on his CZ. So we're back with our race leader, number 160, Keith Best, who appears to still be able to keep Adrian Lappin behind him. Keith going very well there on that 250 CZ. As I said, he didn't have a great race in the previous over 60s race, but hopefully he'll make up for it in this final pre-60s race of the afternoon. We're back looking at number 125 there in the middle. That's Ian Stainton on the Clue Stroker. He's been chased by number 139 Craig Holmes on that 500 BSA machine. Looked like Craig Holmes was going to have a go at Ian Stainton down the outside, but I think he's went in too hot, so he still managed to keep that track position. So Craig Holmes going very well there on that BSA. So while we're looking at our race leader, Keith Best in pole position there, another good event to look out for coming soon is the Barbin Hill Climb, which is once again run by this Westmoreland Motor Club, which of course is a tarmac hill climb and not as you'd expect on the dirt. And this year there's also a class for bikes with knobbly tyres, so you'll be able to take your old classic scramblers onto the tarmac, but you're going to need to wear some kind of leathers as protection, but it should still be quite a good spectacle watching all the dirt bikes against the clock on a tarmac road surface. But anyhow, that particular event is on the 21st of June. So we're back to our second placed position rider again, number 44, Adrian Lappin. It doesn't look like Adrian's managing to get any closer to Keith Best. He seems to be able to maintain that slight gap between himself and Adrian Lappin. So Keith Best at this point going very well as he comes round to complete another racing lap. So Keith coming across the line there to pass number 41 John Sinnott. Adrian Lappin currently in second position on the track, but Keith Best certainly looking very comfortable at this stage. And of course, once we're finished with this episode 3 and all of the racing from the Saturday's race programme, we'll then start editing and posting all of the highlights from the Sunday's race event. So quite a lot of racing to get through before we're finished with this 2025 Bill Brown Classic Scramble weekend. There's your third placed position rider, number 21, Ian Knight. And here's the battle for fourth and fifth between number 62, that's Colin Hutton on the 380 Twinport CZ, and he's racing number 125, Ian Stainton on that Alan Clues stroker machine. So a nice battle developing here for these positions, fourth and fifth. So we're going to head back to our race leader as he crosses the line to begin his final lap of this third British Championship race over 60s class. This of course will be their last race of the day, but Keith Best certainly looking good as he begins the final lap of this race. Adrian Lappin is still currently in second, but I don't think Adrian's going to be able to catch Keith, because it looks like he's going to run out of laps before he can get up to make a challenge. But Keith Best looks like he could be onto his first win of the afternoon. There's Adrian Lappin just going through in second. So with slightly less than half a lap to go for Keith to secure his first race win of the afternoon. It looks like it's going to be a comfortable second place there for Adrian Lappin, Pearson Jap. So this will certainly make up for that disastrous result in the previous race for Keith. So he's coming down to take the checkered flag and his first and well-deserved win of the afternoon. So number 160, Keith Best is your winner for this race. Adrian Lappin is going to cross the line and come through in second position. We're looking to see who's going to take that third place, and it's going to be this man here, number 21, Ian Knight, as he just cruises across the finish line to take that coveted third place position. So our next race is another British Championship race. This is for the pre-60s, pre-65s and pre-68s. It looks like James Thompson's made a very good start there. Harry Stitt in second position. So it's Cecil Pearson Japs in positions 1 and 2 as they make their way up the hill. The dust beginning to be a bit of a factor now as the track continues to dry, but James Thompson certainly off to a flyer as he begins at lap 1. Now, with regards to these Cecil Pearson Jap racers and just how quick these bikes are on the track, you may remember that in episode 1 I did certainly comment that these 1930s Jap powered bikes were almost as fast as the quickest twin shock bikes on the day, when in actual fact these bikes were around, I think they were around 4 or 5 seconds quicker than the fastest twin shocker on the day. So although these bikes may look antiquated, when it comes to outright speed on the track, there's certainly not much to touch on with regards classic or twin shock bikes. So I thought I'd just clear up that particular point, because my original statement in episode 1 wasn't entirely accurate. Anyhow, currently in third place, just going through there, that was 474. That's Jack Austin on the G80 Matchless. As we take a look at number 400, that's John Britton on his lovely Norbsa 500. So currently it's still number 26, James Thompson on the Rickman Jap bike. I think that's a 1960s or 63 Rickman frame with that 1930s Jap engine to power it. So James Thompson coming across the line to complete another lap. It's still currently Harry Stitt in second position. So James Thompson at this point going well on another one of the Pearson Japs. There's your second place man, Harry Stitt, another man from Northern Ireland, quite an intuitive engineer as well as a dirt bike racer. You can see that Harry can certainly ride one of these bikes, and he can also build these fantastic frames, and this bike that he's currently riding is a frame that he built himself. Currently in third position is this man here, number 474, Jack Austin. Fourth is 302, that's Wayne Partington on the CZ. These boys, of course, could be racing in separate classes, but they will be scored in their respective classes as they cross the finish line. But once again, a big thanks to everybody who took part in this Bill Brown Classic Scramble weekend, not only all the riders, but to the many spectators who took the time to come along and watch the action on the track, although it wasn't a very large crowd that attended here on the Saturday, but nevertheless your support is very much appreciated. So we're looking at number 111 again, Harry Stitt, one of 4 riders that Cecil's brought along to this Bill Brown Scramble this weekend. We've got Harry himself and James Thompson, Adrian Lappin, and of course Callum Pearson as well. Not forgetting Cecil as well, because Cecil did come out in some of the earlier races for a run round. But here's the battle for third and fourth between number 474 Jack Austin and Wayne Partington there, number 302 on CZ. So these two having their own personal battle in this British Championship race. So it's James Thompson, number 26, your current race leader from Ballymena in Northern Ireland, being chased by his fellow countryman there, number 111, Harry Stitt. So James comes across the line to complete another lap, and Harry appears to be keeping a watching brief. There's still plenty of laps left to make his move on James Thompson. As you can see, the track's still holding up quite well, not too much dust because the bikes are quite well spaced out, but certainly by the end of the day on the Saturday, the very dry track did hold up quite well, considering that we've not really had any rain to speak of in this area of the country for at least the past couple of weeks, although as I know the track did get quite a good watering on the Saturday night when everybody was having a beer and a laugh in the marquee during the Saturday night's entertainment. But come Sunday morning, it was perfect condition for racing once again. So as you can see, no change at the front of this race. Harry Stitt's had a couple of goes to pass James Thompson there, but as yet unable to make it stick. So it's still looking good for James Thompson, number 26, as he comes round to complete another lap. Harry Stitt certainly closing in on James, so we could yet see a battle for this track position before the end of this British Championship race. So Harry Stitt certainly looking like he's going to try some kind of move as they make their way up the hill. He's on the outside of the track. Surely he's not going to go around the outside. In fact, he is. Young Harry Stitt there is went right round the outside, and can he make it stick going into the corner? No, James is got that line into the corner. So it's still James Thompson, Harry Stitz having another go on the outside. So this is a good scrap between these two Cecil Pearson Japs. And looking farther back down the track, looking at number 25 here, that's Ben Green on his B44 PSA 500. So Ben looks like he's going quite well on that British built Visa. We've still got the battle here at the front between James Thompson and Harry Stitt. Looks like Harry's not been able to make that move as such, although he did pass James momentarily earlier on in this lap, but James is still in command of this race as he crosses the line for a completion of another lap. And as I said, after the conclusion of this episode 3 from the Saturday, we'll then move on to all of the action from the Sunday's race programme, where we've got 16 races for you to take a look at. So we're going to concentrate on this battle at the front to the end of the race between James Thompson, number 26, and Harry Stitt. As I said, both these riders have got Jap-powered machines, but that bike of James Thompson's is a Rickman frame, and I think it's a 1965 Rickman frame, not a 63 as I said before, but that one of Harry Stitt's is his own special build, and it looks like Harry's going to have a go as they go up the hill, but it's still James Thompson managing to keep the youngster at bay, but Harry Stitt's coming up against some tail enders, but looks like he's managing to filter his way through. That was Harry Stitt there, just coming up to pass number 380. That was Jeff Taylor on his quite nice looking 360 twin port CZ. So as Harry Stitt crosses the line to complete another lap, he's still trying to chase down James Thompson there, number 26. So this has been quite a good race by James. He's more or less led this race from the start gate, and even looks like he's opened up more of a gap between himself and Harry Stitt in second. So at this moment in time, James looking very comfortable. And we've still got that battle going on between this man here, number 474, that's Jack Austin, and number 302, Wayne Partington, on that very quick CZ. So those two certainly having their own personal battles for that third and fourth placed positions. James Thompson coming round to complete another racing lap, so I think barring any mechanical issues or unscheduled off-track excursions, I think James looks like he's got this race in the bag. So it doesn't look like we're going to get that challenge from Harry Stitt before the end of this race, so maybe Harry's just quite happy to settle for second position, because I think he's already won a couple of races here this afternoon. So James Thompson well on his way to another race win. So we take another look at number 380, Jeff Taylor, on that beautiful twin port CZ. That's another bike that we had a look at, a lovely machine that, number 474. Just going through there is Jack Austin, who's I think currently still in third position, but here's the man at the pole position of this race, number 26, James Thompson, and when he comes down across the line this time, it will be the final lap of this British Championship race. And of course, as you know, these John Alfred Prestwich 4-stroke engines run on methanol and not regular petrol. These engines were always designed to be competition engines for speedway racing, and they were always designed to run on methanol fuel. So there's your first place position rider just going through, James Thompson. There's your second man, Harry Stitt, number 111. As we take a look at number 202, that's Craig Preston. I think that's another one of those Harry Clem CZ twin shockers. So just a couple of turns to go for this man here, who's basically led this race from the drop of the start gate. So just about to come down to cross the finish line to take another race win. So this has been a well-deserved victory here for number 26, James Thompson. And it looks like it's going to be number 111 here, Harry Stitt, who's going to cross the finish line in that coveted runner-up position. And so this will be our last British Championship race of the Saturday. This is the pre-1974 class, and as I said, this will be their last race of the day. So we've had some cracking racing from these guys in the British Championship, but keep your eye on the left-hand side of your screen there, Tim Dalloway in the orange hat. That's exactly the same position that he almost got the whole shot from in the last race. So it looks like it's Andy Hinchcliffe, your early race leader. Tim Dalloway is currently in second as they begin lap 1. So on lap 1 it is still indeed number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe on lovely CZ. Now Andy's not had a fantastic day here at the Westmoreland Motor Club Bill Brown Scramble. I think he had a couple of DNFs in previous races, so he's certainly hoping to make up for those dismal results in this race. So it's still Tim Dalloway in second position. It looks like Greg Speed, number 99, is in third. That's a lovely Shenny Triumph there that Greg Speed is riding. You may remember we also had a very close look at this bike when we were doing our wanderings around Paddock. In third place there, it looks like it's Dan Evans on the Myco in third, and just behind Dan there, that looks like it's Nathan Jones on his 400 Husqvarna, just making his way up the hill. So it looks like we've got quite a good scrap developing here at the front between that man there, number 224, Andy Hinchcliffe, on the 380 CZ, and the man behind, number 164, Tim Dalloway, on that 500 BSA. So looks like we've got a good race developing here between the two, but that BSA of Tim Dalloway can certainly fly. Once again, this is not an original BSA from a way back in the 1960s. It's all been nicely set up with different types of suspension and probably some tweaks to that 500 Visa engine, but it's a very quick motorcycle, as you can see. So it's a relatively lightweight two-stroke 380 CZ of Andy Hinchcliffe, who leads the British-built 500 BSA of Tim Dalloway. Tim, of course, instantly recognisable with that orange hat. Here's the battle for third and fourth between Greg Speed and Nathan Jones in fourth position. You can see it doesn't take these guys long to complete a lap of this Westmoreland County Showground track. So it's currently still Andy Hinchcliffe leading Tim Dalloway, number 164. Both of these riders, of course, registered in the British Championship, so there'll be quite valuable points up for grab between these two. So it's all to play for in this British Championship this year. And just in case you're interested, my next big event will be in the middle of June when I make my annual pilgrimage to Cecil Pearson's 2-day charity scramble event at Craig Antlet in Northern Ireland, where of course they hold a 2-day scramble where all of the money received from entries and donations and other kind of sponsorships all go to very good causes, and this year's chosen charity is the Northern Ireland Air Ambulance, which is a very worthy cause. So if you're not doing anything on the 13th and 14th of June, it'd be quite good to see more riders from the UK mainland make their trip across the Irish Sea. So we're looking at number 186 just making his way through there. That's Steve Van Dom again on his lovely TM 250 Suzuki. Now it certainly looks like Tim Dalloway's made that move on number 224 Andy Hinchcliffe, because he's now leading this British Championship race. Second is Andy Hinchcliffe. So Tim Dalloway absolutely flying around this Westmoreland County racetrack. But this is definitely a better performance here from number 224 Andy Hinchcliffe. He didn't have the best of luck in the first two races, but he's certainly looking good in this race 3, currently sitting in second position there, just behind our race leader Tim Dalloway. Third place now is this man here, number 873. That's Nathan Jones on his Husqvarna 400. Greg Speed is now in fourth position, and in fifth it's number 525. I think that's Dan Evans, who's riding what looks like a little 250 Elsinore this time round. But Tim Dalloway is certainly the man on a mission in this race at the moment. He's flying along there on that BSA. Andy Hinchcliffe still managing to keep him in sight, so Andy may not be finished with this race just yet. So Tim Dalloway on that BSA is absolutely motoring around this track. Andy Hinchcliffe looks like he's a bit closer, so he's maybe going to have a go here as they make their way up the hill. So it's the single cylinder 4-stroke versus the single cylinder 2-stroke of Andy Hinchcliffe. These two riders certainly going at it hammer and tong as they come into the turn. So we're going to try and keep these two in shot for a little while, because it looks like a good race developing here. Andy Hinchcliffe tries to go up the inside, but I think Tim Dalloway's managed to keep him behind. Number 873 is Nathan Jones in third position, but still Tim Dalloway, number 164 on the BSA, your current race leader. I think it was just given Andy Hinchcliffe a bit of a thumbs up there for saying that was quite a good move he made going up the hill, but unfortunately couldn't make it stick. But Tim Dalloway comes across the finish line to complete another racing lap, so he's still motoring on that lovely BSA. And it's usually quite easy to spot Tim Dalloway in a race, because he always has that traditional orange crash helmet on, and I think he's been using that trademark for many years now, so it's quite easy to pick Tim Dalloway out when he's on the track. Second place man is still number 224 there, Andy Hinchcliffe. So Tim Dalloway currently still ahead of Andy Hinchcliffe, but we've still got a couple of laps to go, so there's certainly time for Andy to make a move on Tim if he can get close enough. But the way that Tim Dalloway's flying in that BSA around these corners, he's going to be a hard man to catch as he comes across the line to complete another lap. But this is still a very good race between these two very talented riders. And I don't even remember these BSAs being this quick way back in the day, because I think it's a 1968 framed bike that Tim is riding there. But as I said, I don't think they were as fast as this back in the day. But Tim's got some very nice trick suspension on the front and at the rear of that BSA, so it'll certainly handle a lot better than it did way back in the 1960s. But currently Andy Hinchcliffe in second position. Looks like he can't do much about the speed of Tim just ahead of him. As we take a look at our third placed man, that's Nathan Jones. He's doing very well there on his 400 Husky. Number 525 again is Dan Evans going through on his 250 Elsinore. But you can see that these British Championship rounds are quite long races, as opposed to the 4 or 5 laps of the older classic bikes. But it's currently still Tim Dalloway who leads number 224 Andy Hinchcliffe, so that's another lap completed. Doesn't look like Andy's going to get close enough to that flying BSA of Mr. Dalloway's. Nevertheless, Andy's given a very good account of himself in this race, and he'll be well chuffed even for a second position, because as I said, he didn't have a lot of luck in the previous 2 races. As we take another look at number 186, that's Stephen Van Dome on his TM 250. Stephen looks like he's enjoying himself out there on his ancient TM. As we take another look at our race leader, Tim Dalloway, on the BSA. And when Tim crosses the line this time, it will be his final lap of this race. So at this point, he's quite comfortable for another race win. So he's been very quick here at the Westmoreland County Showground this weekend. So he's well on his way to what could be another race win. Andy Hinchcliffe still currently in second position, and I think that's how it's going to finish. I think Andy's going to be quite happy just completing a race for a change, and taking that second position will be a good consolation prize to the previous 2 races. But take nothing away from this young man here, number 164, Tim Dalloway, because he's certainly given a masterclass on how to ride one of these old BSAs around this Westmoreland County Showground track. So just a couple of turns to go for Tim to secure a race win, and it's been a well-deserved win for all that, because he's ridden absolutely superbly as he crosses the line to take the checkered flag, and it's going to be Andy Hinchcliffe who comes cruising in second position. So Andy's done quite well to at least finish a race this time round. Right, so next up we have the support clubman class, and this will be their final race of the afternoon. So they lead the line. It looks like a good start there by number 11, that's Callum Pearson, and that particular bike there is Cecil Pearson's personal machine. So Callum looks like he's borrowed it for this race. Second is number 16, Stephen Shuttleworth, as the rest of the riders make their way up the hill in a cloud of dust. And as the Saturday's racing progressed, the dust was beginning to be a bit of a problem, but thankfully not too bad so as to stop the racing altogether. But there's your race leader, number 11, Callum Pearson, who looks like he's also borrowed Cecil's race shirt as well, with that number 11 on the back. So young Callum off to a flyer here on that Harry Stitt framed 600cc Jap. So Callum's coming up to complete lap 1. It's currently number 16, Stephen Shuttleworth, who's in second position. Stephen's also another rider that's went well this afternoon on that Terry Mead framed big TT500 Yamaha. You can just see Stephen there in second place, number 16. That's one of two identical bikes that Stephen brought along to this Bill Brown Classic Scramble weekend. So Stephen Shuttleworth certainly going well in second position. And I do remember Stephen telling me in the paddock on the Saturday that his son would be racing this bike on Sunday, so we'll certainly look out for that number 16 bike when we get around to posting the racing footage from the Sunday. So there's the rest of the riders making their way up the hill. That was Darren Brown just making his way through there, number 87 on the 79 Michael. Now, although I'm only using one single camera to cover this event, I do hope it's still giving you a little flavour of what went down over the 2 days. It's not exactly Sky Sports, but it's all completely free, and as is everything here on my channel. I think I'm the only person that's usually out of pocket when I film these big events, which is nothing new, but it does take a bit of a while to put these videos together, so hopefully you'll appreciate my mediocre efforts. So there's a current race leader, that's number 11, Callum Pearson, on Cecil Pearson's personal race bike. Number 16 is still Stephen Shuttleworth on the big Yamaha. Number 159 is Kevin Allen on the big 600 KTM. As we take a look at number 231, that's Maurice Wharton on his 1981 490 Micro. So good to see Maurice back out there again on his big German Micro. Callum Pearson just crossing the line to complete another lap, so he's going very well in this race. It doesn't look like Stephen Shuttleworth is close enough to make any kind of challenge at this point. So there's your second place man, number 16, Stephen Shuttleworth. And, if you'd like a closer look at this lovely bike, then just head back to the paddock walkabout videos and you can get a much closer look at some of the parts that are fitted onto that very quick 4-stroke machine. In third place there is number 159, still Kevin Allen on the KTM, and we're looking at number 27, white bike there, that's Mike Doby. So we're back with our race leader, Callum Pearson, number 11, as he comes across the line to begin his final lap of this support clubman race. So this has been a good race by Callum. He's more or less got the whole shot into turn one, and he's basically led this race from the start gate. Still currently number 16, Stephen Shuttleworth in second position. So thus far it's been quite a good weekend for the first day of racing for Team Jap from Northern Ireland, because I think every rider has at least one race here on the Saturday. Some of the riders have won 2 races, so I think Cecil will be reasonably chuffed with the performance of his team and his bikes for the first day of racing. We're taking a look at number 8 there, that's Jem Parker on that lovely CR250 Honda. That's another bike that we're going to take a look at sometime later here on Classic Dirt Bike TV. So it looks like Callum's just got a few turns to go to take his first win of the day. So this has been a good ride from the youngster here on the Cecil Pearson Jap. So as he makes the last turn to take the checkered flag in his first win of the day, it's Callum Pearson who's going to take the win in the support clubman class. Coming into view now is number 16. It's Stephen Shuttleworth who's going to take that second placed position, and it's going to be number 159 there. That's Kevin Allen on big 4-stroke KTM. So that brings us quite nicely to the final race of the Saturday. This is the Support 378 class, and also the Twin Shock 125. So this will conclude all of the racing from the Saturday's race programme. So as the riders leave the line, looks like another good start there by number 22. That's Peter Carr on that very quick 4-stroke Yamaha. So Peter off to a flyer there. The rest of the riders make their way round on lap 1. Still quite dusty here at the Westmoreland County Showground, as you can see. And Peter Carr, another rider that's been riding quite well here this afternoon. He did have a couple of mechanical issues with that big TT500 Yamaha engine in a previous race, but it looks like he's got it all sorted out now, because he's at the front of this pack on lap 1, second position. Looks like that could be Ian Knight. Ian, this time round, looks like he's riding his little YZ125 machine and not the Elsinore that he rode in a previous race, but he got a nice slingshot out of the corner there as he came in. So it's a little 125 versus the big 500 4-stroke of Peter Carr, and Ian looks like he just slingshot through that corner. So Ian Knight, your new race leader. Now, of course, we've still got some racing for you to take a look at from the Sunday's race programme, so that will be coming up quite soon as we take a look at the battle for first and second places between Ian Knight and Peter Carr. Number 779 there, that's Rupert Hills. As you can see, Rupert's a big lad. I'm 6'4", and I think Rupert is about 6'7", if I remember correctly. So he's about the only person I know that I have to look up to, but there you go. As we take a look at number 22, Peter Carr in second position on the 4-stroke Yamaha, and I think that's a 1977 TT500 that Peter is currently riding. So he crosses the line to complete another lap. We're just waiting to see who's going to be our third placed position rider, which looks like it could be number 14. I think that's Anthony Pye, who's currently in third position. As we take a look at number 28 there, that's Mike Walker on his 1974 250 KTM. That's a bike that you very seldom see still racing at these classic events. Number 686 going through there is Gary Colnall on the 250 Otaco Persang. So we're back with our race leader again, number 21, that's Ian Knight. As I said, this time riding his little YZ125 Yamaha, as opposed to what he was riding in the earlier part of the day's programme, his CR250 Honda Elsinore. But he's certainly going well here on this little 125 two-stroker. So as he crosses the line to complete another lap, you can see the gap that Ian Knight has got over second place man number 22 Peter Carr on the big 4-stroke TT500 Yamaha, and you'd certainly think that Peter should be a lot closer to Ian Knight than he is at the moment. So maybe he's got more issues with that big 4-stroke thumper Yamaha engine. But nevertheless, he's still managing to keep a hold of that second place position, and I think he's got a decent gap between himself and the third placed rider. So we're just looking at some of the other riders making their way through. Number 785 just going through there is Craig Hunter on his 380 CZ, as we take another look at Rupert Hills. And I'm pretty sure that that's a big shiny frame that Rupert's sitting atop of. I think it's got a Yamaha XT or TT500 engine inside, so Rupert going well on that big four-stroker. But Ian Knight crosses the line to start his final lap of this race, so this has been a fantastic performance from this talented rider. Even got time for a little chat with some of the spectators as he makes his way through on this final lap. So this might be just a small little 125 two-stroke, but you can see it's pretty quick around this Westmoreland racetrack, and looks like Ian's in his comfort zone there. He's doing a bit of trialling, standing up in the pegs and just cruising to the finish line. There's your second place man, number 22, Peter Carden. It looks like it's number 161. That's Joseph Dent there, just going through in third position. Number 51, I think that could be Martin Stokes, just cruising past there. So as we head towards the conclusion of this final race of the day on the Saturday, and of course the footage from the Saturday's race programme, it looks like it's going to be a comfortable win for this man here, number 21, Ian Knight, on the YZ 125 Yamaha. So this has been a good performance by Ian, and he's that far ahead of Peter Carr now. You can see he's absolutely cruising towards the finish line. So a good win here for number 21, Ian Knight, and it's going to be Peter Carr who's going across the line in second position, which concludes all of the racing that went down from this Bill Brown Scramble weekend on the Saturday. But of course, coming up, we have 2 blocks of racing for you to take a look at from the Sunday's race programme. So once again, thanks for tuning in to Classic Dirt Bike TV, and until the next time, it's goodbye for now.